All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a man named Maha Moggallana, a man with almost unbelievable power, and the one single force that he just couldn't overcome.
Okay, so let's start with a question. Imagine your entire city is in the grip of a famine. People are literally starving to death. What's your plan? What do you do?
Well, back in the ancient city of Varanja, they were facing this exact crisis. And one of the Buddhist chief disciples, a man named Moggallana, saw his fellow monks suffering and, let's just say, he came up with a couple of pretty audacious ideas. And his first idea, wow. To call it revolutionary is, well, it's putting it mildly.
Okay, so check this out. Moggallana knew that deep down, the soil under the Earth's crust was rich and edible, almost like honey. So solution number one, he offered to just flip the entire planet over so the monks could eat. Yeah, seriously. And if that was maybe a bit too dramatic, he had a plan B. He proposed using his powers to just fly the whole community of monks to a completely different continent, this place called Uttarakuru, where there was plenty of food so they could go and beg for alms there.
Now the Buddha heard these plans and gently said, Moggallana, let's not do that. He was worried that flipping the world would absolutely terrify every living creature on it. But just think about it. The fact that this was even a serious conversation raises a huge question. Just what kind of power are we talking about here?
See, Moggallana wasn't just your average disciple. He was famous, renowned, actually, as the absolute master of a very specific set of abilities. In the Buddhist tradition, these powers are called iti. And we're not talking about magic tricks here. These are psychic powers, believed to be developed through incredible mental focus and deep, deep meditation. Powers that let a person actually influence the physical world.
And Moggallana's iti powers were the stuff of legend. He wasn't just talking about being a taxi service for the other monks. This guy could personally travel between different realms, walk straight through walls, and literally shake the foundations of heavenly palaces. Just incredible.
But here's the thing. He didn't use these amazing powers for his own benefit. Nope. He turned his journeys into the ultimate teaching tool.
So what he would do is travel to these other realms, heavens, hells, you name it, and he'd come back with essentially eyewitness reports. He described these beings living it up in jeweled palaces, sometimes as a reward for just one small act of kindness. And on the flip side, he brought back these chilling warnings from the hell realms, talking about the intense suffering that was a direct consequence of hurting others. As you can imagine, his stories really got people thinking about their actions.
But for all this cosmic power, for being able to travel between worlds and shake the heavens, there was one thing that Moggallana just could not escape.
It turns out his powers had a limit. His teachings were so powerful, so effective, that they started to really tick off some rival religious groups. They were losing followers, they were losing money, and they blamed Moggallana. So they decided to get rid of him.
So they hired a bunch of robbers to ambush him where he lived. The first time they showed up, he sensed them coming and just, poof, slipped right out through the keyhole. The second time, he flew straight up through the roof. So yeah, twice he escaped without breaking a sweat.
But then came the third attempt, and this time something was different. The robbers surrounded his little hut, and the man who could literally move worlds, he just stayed put. He didn't use his powers, he didn't escape. The question is, why?
Well, Moggallana, with his enlightened vision, saw something that no one else could. He realized that a huge, ancient karmic debt from a past life had finally caught up to him. See, in a lifetime long, long ago, his wife had manipulated him into committing an absolutely terrible crime. He murdered his own blind parents. He'd pretended to be a robber and beat them, but as they were dying, they cried out, begging for their son, for him to save himself. And that act of selfless love, in the face of his violence, sealed a karmic consequence that was now, finally, unavoidable.
And this right here is a perfect illustration of a core teaching about cause and effect.
So he let the robbers in. He didn't fight back. He didn't resist at all as they beat him so brutally his bones were crushed, basically like rice. They thought he was dead, so they just dumped his body in some bushes and took off. This was the payment. The debt being settled. It's such a profound teaching, right? Some debts just cannot be escaped. They can only be paid. For Moggallana, it meant that even his incredible psychic powers couldn't outrun a consequence that was destined to be paid in full. But wait, the story isn't quite over, because Moggallana wasn't actually dead. He used his iti one last time, not to escape,
not to get revenge, but to literally pull his shattered body back together, fly to the Buddha, say one last goodbye, and then, peacefully, pass into final nirvana.
And that just leaves us with this one, final, really powerful thought. Here's a man who could shake the heavens, who could seriously propose flipping the world over, but in the end, he chose to humbly face the consequences of his own past. It really makes you stop and think. What is true power? Is it the ability to change the world around you, or is it the wisdom to accept what you can't change about yourself?